Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. The New York Pro has let out, and we have a new champion. As we predicted a little earlier today after the prejudging, Nick Walker has dominated this lineup and has won the New York Pro and will be going to the Mr. Olympia competition in October. I know Nick is ecstatic about it. But the guy really deserved it. I can't compare. I'm trying to think of like the last time it was a New York Pro is this exciting in terms of not necessarily how close the competition was, because I think Nick won this, pretty unanimously, but how excited people were by the winner. And I'm thinking back to Big Ramy in 2013 when he won. That was probably, the most excited people had gotten about the New York Pro, because I think we knew that we had seen the coming of a new Mr. Olympia of the future. And, we might be looking at a Mr. Olympia of the future right now in Nick Walker. And he edged out a really good, Justin Rodriguez. You really, there's not much to really complain about. I think he was a little sharper at night and a little better at night, but I don't think he was, I think Nick was just too good for him. He had too much mass, too much completeness to his physique. His conditioning was stellar, better than Rodriguez's. And I think Nick Walker did everything he needed to win here. And I think that this was a really well-deserved victory for him. I think it really catapulted him up. I was talking to Chris Aceto earlier, and we both agreed the improvements that Nick made from last year to this year are incredible. And I don't know how much weight he gained or anything like that. I don't know the numbers or anything like that, but the look that he brought to the stage is so much better. He's so much more complete as a bodybuilder now. His body flows better. And I think, once again, I think he's going to be a very dangerous guy at that Olympia level. Will he be a top 6 guy? I don't know. Obviously, we got to see him standing next to some of these seasoned competitors. But he could break that top 6 his first time out. Absolutely. And we haven't seen that in quite a long while. So great victory for him. Justin Rodriguez, look, he won Indy. He'll be at the Olympia too. You can't take anything away from the guy. The guy looked great. And this was a better lineup. So I think Justin did everything he had to do here. And I think he should be proud of himself. He just ran into a Nick Walker. And sometimes that's what happens. There's always someone better than you somewhere. That's what I always say. Third place, Hassan Mustafa, the biggest guy in the lineup for sure. You talk about Nick Walker being a freak. Hassan Mustafa's a freak. He just doesn't have glutes and hamstrings yet. And I think once he gets that conditioning from behind that he needs, he's going to be seriously dangerous too, because he is massive. The legs on this guy are incredible. The arms, the whole package just is tremendous. And I think he's also made a lot of improvements from last year. But remember, last year when he competed, he was sick. He had a really bad hemorrhoid issue. He was losing blood. We saw a half-mast, Hassan Mustafa last year. This was 100% in terms of health and well-being goes, and in terms of the way his physique looked. He just needs to, he's a guy who his body just wants to grow. And you have to starve this guy to death. And, Chris and I, Cito, who is his coach, and I have talked about this. He has to suffer a lot to get into the condition that he needs to win shows. And he certainly could have won this show had he been at his best, but he wasn't. Nick Walker was, and that's the end of the day. I think Dorian Haywood has to be super happy here, beating guys who beat him last week. He looked better here. He's a big guy. Once again, not the best structure on stage, but a good structure. And he has massive amounts of muscle, and he has a lot of good conditioning. And that earned him 4th place here. And he should be very proud of himself, because this was not an easy lineup. These top 3 are superstars, and I think that Dorian is going to be a superstar in his own right. He's just going to have to keep making the improvements he's making, keep dialing that conditioning in. He's got the size he needs at this point, and just it's about refinement. And when he finally, gets it all together and he hits the right, lineup, and he's doing tough shows. He's not doing, easy shows. He's going to win a show. Absolutely. He'll be at that Olympia this year. I'm convinced of it, because I don't think he's going to stop until he qualifies for that Olympia. So I think he really did everything he needed to do plus here, and congratulations. one of the disappointments for me was in this lineup was Muhammad El-Aman, who was second to Justin last week. I think he wasn't quite as dry and hard here as we saw him last week in Indy. And, that pushed him down in the rankings a little bit. Plus, there was some good guys in the lineup and some people improved. So, Dorian beats Muhammad El-Aman, and that's a big feather in his cap. But Muhammad has got a tremendous physique that's going to come back here, whether later in the year and continue to compete, or he's going to come back here next year, and he's going to be a guy that he's going to be winning shows. I think he needs one more year under his belt before he's really going to come. But he's a Justin Rodriguez. I mean, they're right neck and neck. He's got to dial in that conditioning, because if he's not perfect, then you're going to see the imperfections in his body, and that's what it really amounts to. The disappointment here probably in this lineup was Blessing Awodibu. He told me in the interview I did with him this past week that he was going to come in fuller, that he was too flat. Sometimes when that happens and you think, uh-oh, I'm too flat, and you hear that from the judges, you carb up too much, thinking you're going to get bigger than maybe you really are, and then you wind up coming a little too smooth. And I think he just over-carbed and just didn't have he was way better last week, I thought, conditioning-wise. I think he needed to find that happy medium of filling up a little more, but not too much more. He really needs to just go back and work for another year and put on the muscle that he needs at this point, and come back and be dangerous, because he is dangerous. He's got one of the best structures in the lineup. He just needs more muscle, in certain areas. We know his legs need to come up. And when he does that, he's gonna be a guy winning shows as well. So a lot of young, good new talent in this lineup here, which is what New York has always been famous for. And I think this was a very successful New York Pro, and I think we're going to see a lot of future stars, and we're going to talk about 2021 being the launching pad for a lot of these guys. So congratulations, Nick Walker, on the huge win. Let's talk about the 212 class, where Nathan Epler really, impressed the hell out of me. I thought he looked great in Indy, to be honest with you, and that was a really tough lineup. But I might even have had him winning last in Indy. But the bottom line is he beat this lineup. And he beat a very good John Jewett in the process. The two of them were really neck and neck. But, John came in fuller than he was in Indy, which was what he needed to do. But I don't know if it was a little too much he put. And he lost some of that little bit of grainy detail. But I'll tell you one thing, Nathan Epler has just got tremendous stage presence for a guy his age. He commands that stage. He knows how to show his physique off properly. He's got crazy legs, he just knows how to maximize every pose for himself. His back could be a little thicker. I'd like to see him put a little more mass on his back, but man, he's got bells and whistles to the end of the world. It'll be interesting to see how he does in the Olympia in that 212 division. Danny Yunin in classic physique. What could you say about it? We love Danny Yunin. I've done more interviews with Danny Yunin than almost any other classic guy. And, I just know that the more he puts into this and the better he gets and more refinement he does to his physique, he's just going to keep moving up the ranks. He can move to 212 if he wanted to also. He's got enough size on him as well. But he's got a classic physique all the way around. And, he does what he needs to do here, and he wins it. He beats a really good guy, Zeke Andrews, who really impressed me, because I really didn't know much about him at all, and he has got a terrific physique. A lot of detail, a lot of refined little areas where you can see just fibers and cross striations, and he knows how to execute his poses. He shows a lot of maturity in his presentation. And I think he's a future star too. I just think that Danny Yunin is a seasoned guy, and he did more. He just had a little more wow, I think. But I could have flipped a coin, and I would have been fine with either one of those winning. I think Danny just has some better body parts that are a little bit more developed, and that's just from years of training. So, congratulations to that top two. Urishna Ayala in wellness. She avenges her loss to Angela Borges from the following week, and she's going to the Olympia now. I mean, I remember when she was a bikini competitor, she's put on a massive amount of muscle, over the last year or year and a half, whatever it's been. And I'm blown away by the size of her legs now and how much muscularity she has. And she's way harder now than she was when she was doing bikini. So this is a great look for her. I think she fits into this class well. Angela Borges also in that second position. I mean, what can you say about her? She's awesome too. They're going to do some serious damage at the Olympia, and that's what it's all about, right? Qualifying for that Olympia, winning that Olympia. In women's bodybuilding, Leah Denny, who's a client of mine, actually wins this, and I think she shocked a lot of people. You know, she dieted real hard for this show. I mean, I busted her butt, and literally, I mean, I've said it before, conditioning wins shows. Was not the toughest women's bodybuilding lineup, but she came in, even though no one really knew who she was, and she showed up in condition, and that won the event for her, and it qualified her for the Miss Olympia. And who doesn't want to go to the Miss Olympia, right? So congratulations, Leah. And we'll be doing an interview with her a little later next week. So stay tuned for that as well. And, you know, how could we not talk about women's physique, where, I mean, it was a super, super close battle. And you know what? I didn't really know Alyssa Kessler that much, but, you know, she really impressed me a lot. She has terrific stage presence. She has terrific conditioning. Her glutes were striated, but they weren't like, you know, obnoxiously striated. And everything flowed pretty well on her physique. And she really was actually hitting a lot of the classic poses that the men hit in the classic physique division. And I thought it was a unique type of presentation. I really liked it. I enjoyed it a lot, especially in her posing routine. And she was just having so much fun up there. And she was just like blown away emotionally when she won that event. And she beat a really good Sharonica Henton too. So, you know, you almost can't, you know, you have to like really, you know, give her accolades for this, because it could have gone either way. And you know what? I think the judges made the right decision at the end of the day. Conditioning, once again, prevailed in women's physique, and that's what it was about. In the bikini division, Romina Basualdo, where, you know, I met her in Mexico at the which champions? I think it was I think it was called the Latin American Championships or something like that, the Amateur Olympia, and she was. I don't even know if she won that show, but I met her down there for the first time, and I said, man, this is going to be a future bikini star for sure. And she has been, you know, and she's earned her stripes already. She's been at the Olympia, and she beat a really good Ashley Kaltwasser. It was a close battle, and Ashley is the winningest bikini pro of all time. She's won more wins than any of them, and she has 3 Olympia titles to her name. And I think she's done like every show this year and won most of them. So this was a tough battle between Romina and Ashley, and man, I'm glad I wasn't judging the show, because I don't know who I would have picked at this point. I mean, they're both so dynamic, and bikini is so, you know, personal, like what you just want and what you like, you know. And I think, you know, Romina has a smaller physique than Ashley, but a little more streamlined, and that's what the judges went for today. So congratulations to Romina. In men's physique, Aaron Banks decimated this lineup. You know, he was just great. I've been using that word a lot, but there's been some heavy hitters in here, and I'm super impressed with Aaron Banks. He's going to be a dangerous competitor moving forward at the Olympia level, because he has just got a beautiful physique. He's got the good pecs, good arms, round cap delt, tiny waist, and perfectly lined up abs. And that's what we look for when we talk about men's physique, because let's face it, there's not much you're not hitting poses on stage. To look that good just standing there, you know, that's a genetic gift in a sense that you've used and learned to show off. And he did the work, and he got the victory. And finally, in the figure division, it was all about Maria Diaz. She's been collecting a lot of wins lately, and she collected another one here. She's obviously already going back to the Olympia, so congratulations to her. And I want to congratulate all the winners at the New York Pro, and I want to congratulate Steve Weinberger for making this thing happen. Even though it didn't happen in New York and it happened in Tampa, you made it happen, Steve. And fans, the competitors, and the press like us, we all really appreciate it, because look, it's a big financial burden during COVID to hold shows, because you can't have as much audience there. People don't show up. You know, there's a lot of prize money that needs to be given out. You have to take your hat off to promoters that step up to the plate and keep bringing these shows to us, despite the fact that maybe they're not making the money that they were making before, but they do it because of the love of the sport and because it has to be done. And, you know, thank God the New York Pro went off without a hitch, and the live stream was terrific. I watched it. Everything was run very professionally, And I'm sorry I wasn't there, but you know what? I got 3 young kids. I'm still in quarantine, as you guys know, and I just got over thyroid cancer, so I can't be exposing myself. But I'm so happy that I was able to watch it on such a clear and amazing live stream. And you know what? We're in a new era, so sometimes we got to do what we got to do. And I think they did a great job, and I want to thank everyone who made it happen. I know it was multiple people, from Jake Wood to Steve Weinberger, Bev, Francis, and the whole crew over there. And for now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo, thanking Nick Walker for a great night and for getting everyone in a good mood and excited about the Olympia. We'll see you next time.